Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside AWI. This month we are talking about how to make more money as a writer. Today I'm joined by Katie Yeakle. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, everybody.
Katie will be in the Q&A and jumping in to interrupt me as she has more to add. This is a topic that wherever you are in your copywriting career, it's going to come up. Even if you're not a copywriter, some other form of writing, this will come up because eventually, right, we're in this to make money, otherwise it would be a hobby, but eventually we run out of time and we need to look at other ways of making more money as a writer. So even if you're just starting out and you're not making any money yet as a writer, it's good to know what these things are, that there are options, that once you hit a point where you're going to hit a ceiling and you're ready to move to the next level, what are you going to do to move to that next level? How are you going to move those chains so that you can start making more money as a writer, hopefully working less time? So normally at this point in the presentation, when I first kick it off, I start with goals and I talk about what we're going to cover during the webinar. But when I went to write the slide, there really wasn't anything to write because it's all ways of making more money. So I brainstormed, I think it was about 15 different ways that you can make more money as a writer. And I decided to narrow it down to 7 for this session, but there are so many ways. It's really one of these business strategies that you need to be thinking about. You know, being a writer, making a living as a writer, this is your business, this is your career. And so we're always looking for ways to tweak and improve things and just become more effective. Doing the right things like that, becoming more efficient, writing more effectively, ultimately drives more money. It is what it is. Even if that's not your goal, you will just naturally make more money if you start thinking about your business as a business and looking for ways to improve it. And so that's kind of what I'm going to cover today in this session, are the things that everyone should be doing and looking at and analyzing when they're building their business, because again, that will naturally drive more money. We're not just seeking out to make more money, we're looking for the things that we can do that will ultimately lead to more money. Because again, working more hours can't be the solution, right? There's only so many hours in a day that you can or want to work, right? For many of you, I was talking to somebody in the chat who is looking to leave their full-time job and start doing this part-time, or start doing this part-time while they have a full-time job. Most of us don't leave a full-time job to take on more hours as a freelancer, right? We might have to work more hours at first when we're learning to, when we're doing this on the side, when we're moonlighting and we're looking to transition from a full-time job into a successful freelance career. But most of us aren't thinking, okay, we're going to work 60 hours, we're going to become a freelancer, and we're going to keep working 60 hours, right? There's only so many hours that you actually want to work every day, every week, and so on. Katie, can you mute yourself, or can someone, one of the panelists is unmuted, and I can hear a lot of typing. Thank you. So here's why working more hours isn't an option, beyond just, you not wanting to work more, but you provide a service. Every time you sit down to write, you are providing that service. You're doing a job, right? And you have a set number of workable hours in any given day. So whether it's 4, whether it's 6, whether it's 10, even if you want to work a lot, you still only have a certain amount of hours that you can work. And so we want to increase that dollar per hour that you're working rather than the number of hours you work. The way to make more money is not just to work more, it's to become more efficient and increase that dollar per hour. And now I'm not talking about the dollar per hour that you're going to charge your clients. What we're looking at is really how much money we're making divided by how many hours we're working. So like, let's say, and I love numbers, I love spreadsheets, and if you put these into a spreadsheet, you'll have a lot of fun with this. Let's say you want to work 30 hours a week. That's your dream writer's life. And I'm not saying this is, this isn't day one. You might need to work more at the beginning, and especially if you're moonlighting, you're going to be working more hours because you're doing this in the evening. But let's say your ultimate goal is to work 30 hours a week as a writer. And let's say you want to write 45 weeks a year. I like vacation, so, you want to take 7 weeks of vacation a year. That's reasonable. That's 1,350 work hours that are available to you every single year. So now working that many hours a year, if I'm making $75,000 a year, I'm making $55 an hour. Again, I'm not charging my client $55 an hour. That just is what it is. That's what an hour of my time is worth. If I'm making $100,000 a year, I'm making $74 an hour. If I'm making $150,000 a year, I'm making $111 an hour. I haven't increased my hours, and I'm going to show you how to move the chains on that left number. But the idea here is not just about how many hours I have to charge more money for each hour that I work. It's really about getting in the mindset of how much money am I making and how much is my time worth, because that is going to help us make good decisions when it comes to taking on new projects, taking on new clients, deciding between project A and project B, by really thinking about how much time you're putting into things, you'll start to see, is that worth my time? Is this project, if I know I'm at about $111 an hour, and I know that this project is going to take me 20 hours and it's going to put me below that line, I can't do it. That's not worth the time that I could be doing on something else. So we want to look at that number. How much money we're making per year, and how much is each hour that we've worked worth? Because again, it's not about charging more. It's not just about saying, okay, I'm going to go from $75 an hour to $125 an hour. It's not that easy. Yes, you are going to raise your rates, and we're going to talk about that. But that's a one-time thing. It's a short game. It's really not going to help you grow as a writer and help you grow this business that you're putting together. So we're looking at total earnings for the year divided by the hours that we work to understand what our value is. And what you, especially for the new writers coming in, understanding your value is so important when it comes to writing, both understanding your value of what you deliver to the client. You know, businesses are in business to sell something. They need copy to sell their products. If they're not selling anything, they're not really in business. So you bring incredible value to the table when you are writing copy for them. There's that value. In addition, though, the value of your time, how much time you're spending. Eventually, you're going to run out of time, and you're going to have three potential options in front of you of ways that you can go. Having this measurement tool helps you evaluate each of those options, each of those projects, each of those clients, to see which one really is the best for you. Project A might appear to be worth $10,000 more, but in reality, you're going to spend twice as many hours, and therefore your hourly rate is not as good. So you're going to start making decisions based on this dollar per hour. But so let's dive in. So I've got 7 ways, 7 thoughts that you should put in your head and understand, so that when you're looking at approaching your business or changing things, or you do run out of time, how you can move those chains to make more. And really, some of these, if you put them in out of the gate, you will start off at a higher dollar per hour rate than you would if you just went in blind and started your business at ground zero. This is going to allow you to start at a higher level out of the gate. And Katie, feel free to jump in on any of this stuff. I'm going to run through them, but if you have anything you want to add or want me to stop, by all means, let me know.
Absolutely. No, this is great.
Okay, so number 1, specializing. We talk about this a lot at INSIDE AWAI. I've never done a webinar where I haven't gotten the question, do I need to pick a niche? So you'll hear it as specializing, you'll hear it as picking a niche. The answer is yes. If you want to make more money as a writer, there's a really good chance that you're going to want to specialize. Specializing, there's 3 huge benefits to specializing, and we've done a whole, I'm going to give you, throughout this session, I'm going to give you links to other resources if you want to learn more about them. Each one of these topics that I'm covering today is worth at least an hour conversation, if not 3 or 4. So when I know that we've done a webinar that's dived into a specific topic, I'm going to give you that link in the sessions that you have. So mark the ones that you want to know more about, and then you'll have a bunch of links at the end that you can use to then explore deeper. So, but the benefits of specializing are very important for everyone to understand. And I know that the intuitive thing, or the thing that you feel is right when you first get started, is to cast the net as wide as possible, because you don't want to miss out on anything, right? You don't want to miss out on the opportunity. But when the way that we teach running your business and being a freelancer is all about being in control, right? We want to be in control of it. We want to have a lot of options. We want to be in control of those options, because that gives us real freedom to be able to make choices between opportunities. And by specializing, you set yourself up actually for more opportunities at a higher level, simply because how you're representing yourself and how people can find you. So first of all, when you're specializing, your perceived value increases. I always use this story about solar technology. I have 0 solar technology experience, but let's say you worked in solar technology, and whatever field you worked in, you have more experience than me. If you are have repaired engines, if you have installed solar panels, if you are a radiologist or done accounting, or whatever job you have, whatever job you've done, whatever experience you have more experience than me in that particular area, okay? So let's say you have 10 years solar technology experience. You install the panels. You understand that science because they taught you all about it, because you're working with the customers all the time. You're selling these things, you're installing them, you're making sure that the customers are happy. You understand that industry. You understand the lingo, you understand the jargon. You have 10 years of that experience. I have 15 years of copywriting experience. Who do you think the solar technology company is going to hire? If you and I go head-to-head for the job, are they going to hire me with the copywriting experience, or are they going to hire you with the solar technology experience? They're going to hire you every single time, and they're going to expect to pay you more. Right out of the gate, because you have that experience, I assume as the company that you're going to provide more value. You're going to provide way more value than Rebecca because she knows nothing of solar technology. How is she going to write copy on this thing that she's just, it's a specific area, a specific industry, a specific technology? Yes, I can learn it, but it's going to take me a lot longer. So your perceived value automatically increases. The client expects that you're going to charge more because you specialize in this area. And the last piece is that you become more efficient. So now I'm going to switch over to a direct response copywriter, someone who writes sales letters, who is working for client A as a health client, and client B is a financial client. Both clients give you the exact same project. We want you to write a 20-page sales letter selling this service, blah, 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 blah. Great, I accept them both. Client A, I'll have yours done in 2 weeks. Client B, I'll have yours done in 4 because I'm going to do them back to back. So client A, I'm working on this health project. I sit down, I do my research, I read all their controls, I come up with a great idea, I write this package, I talk to their customers, I understand the product, and I'm in there, right? I turn this great sales letter 2 weeks later. Now I work on client B. Guess what I have to do all over again? All that research, all those customer interviews, reading the promos, reading the industry, understanding all about the financial system now in this financial industry, because it's a whole new project in a whole new area. Whereas if I had just had client B also be in health, I could have reused all that knowledge and written that second sales letter much faster. So you become more efficient when you understand your industry, when you understand who the buyers are, what they're interested in buying. You just become a better copywriter, and therefore your dollar per hour goes up because you will be charging more because the clients expect to charge you more, but you'll also be more efficient. And so therefore you get to divide, your dollar per hour goes up because it takes you less hours to do the work at the same exact rate. So there's huge benefits to specializing. Now we did a full hour on this and we dove really deep into it with Pam Foster, who is our Director of Copywriting Training and our resident pick a niche expert. It's called How to Pick a Profitable Writing Niche. It's on the INSIDE AWai page. These links will be live in the slides that you'll get with the recording, and we'll also make them live on the recording page for this session. We also have a program, How to Choose Your Writing Niche. If you are, and my job isn't here to sell you on anything today, it's really just to show you the resources that we have in case you need help. But if you want someone to really walk you through step by step by step and make sure that you're choosing a profitable niche, you might want to go with the program route. Okay, so that was number one. Just one thing can really move the chains in your business just by specializing. The second one, and this is one I'm going to go into a little more detail as well because it's exciting for people, but it's hard to wrap their mind around sometimes. The second one is to write projects with royalties, right? Royalties, how do you get them? You write direct response copy. Direct response copy is copy that has an action attached to it. Katie, did you want to jump in?
I'm sorry, I'm just having so much fun in these questions. But
oh,
no,
sorry. I saw you beep off, so I thought maybe you wanted to say something.
No.
Oh, okay. So with direct response copy, it could be sales letters, it could be video sales letters, email funnels, emails that have direct sales attached to them, anything where you are driving the sale, anything where you're getting someone to click, yes, I want to order, here's my credit card, I want to buy now. Any form of that direct response copy can have a royalty attached to it. So along with your fee, I'm going to walk through a specific example, but along with your fee for writing the letter, you receive a percentage of sales. Usually it's somewhere between 2 and 10%. 10 is definitely on the high end of the scale. 2 is more of a typical royalty rate, but you keep collecting the royalty as long as the copy keeps getting used. So you can write a letter this month that gets you royalties next month, the month after that, next year, the year after that. I know copywriters who've been collecting royalties on one letter for 20 years. In fact, the sales letter that launched this company, many of you have probably seen it, Can You Write a Simple Letter Like This One, was written 20 years ago. This is our 20-year anniversary, and that copywriter is still collecting a royalty on that sales letter. And we have tons of other letters out there too, right? But he has written dozens, if not 100 by now, other sales letters, many of which he's still collecting royalties on. So royalties are great because you do a project and then you keep collecting checks. But it's not like you do a project and you don't do any other projects, right? You do a project and you create that revenue stream with that royalty, and then you do another one. and you create
Rebecca,
a second revenue stream. Yes.
I've heard some copywriters refer to them almost as their own personal annuities.
I love that.
and the other thing too is if it starts to not perform as well, you always have the opportunity to go back and tweak it. So you always have the opportunity to keep it going as well. I mean, 20 years is definitely not critical at all. But so that's something to keep in mind too. Once it's yours, it's yours.
But even 2 years, 3 years, to be collecting checks from an action that you put into place 3 years ago, that's not a bad thing at all. So let's look at one of the examples. So let's say you write a sales letter for $10,000, okay? This is more typical, you know, as you're further along in your career. When you're first starting out, sales letters, usually it's around $2,000 to $3,000 for a sales letter, but let's just say you've been writing for a while and now you're at the $10,000 rate, which is kind of mid for the range of from a starting copywriter to a very experienced copywriter. We've paid $25,000 for a sales letter, and we know copywriters who charge even more than that. I know copywriters who charge $100,000 for a sales letter, but let's say you write a sales letter for $10,000. The publisher who hired you sent it to 100,000 people who were in their list. They had a reasonably small list, 100,000 people. They sent it out, and 1% of those people responded and signed up. So 1,000 people responded. The product that you were selling in your sales letter was for a $1,000 advisory service. So the publisher, by converting only 1%, which is not, I mean, that's good. It's not great, but just that 1%, that's 1 out of 100 people raised their hand and said, yes, I want that. The publisher made $1 million from your letter. They paid you $10,000, they made $1 million. If you're at a 3% royalty, you make an additional $30,000. $30,000, like just handing you a check for $30,000, which the publisher happily pays because they made $1 million, right? That's a huge margin on what it costs, or a huge return on investment for what it costs to pay you to be the copywriter. So that's $40,000 from one letter. We have, I mean, I can go on and on with examples and stories, but this is what royalty, this is why people are drawn to direct response sales writing, because of the royalties. Now imagine if you did 4 of those in the year, right? What if you did 6 of those a year? Even if they took you 2 months apiece, you can see how it adds up. And again, this adds up. It's not like you do it and then you just stop working. You still keep taking on other assignments and creating other royalty revenue streams. So royalties, there's no end. Like I said, if the copy keeps working, and like Katie said, if it starts to fatigue or starts to perform not as great as it was, you always have the option to tweak it. It's not like it doesn't perform well and they say, well, that's it, we're going to pull it. And you can even come back and come up with new ideas and say, you know what, I saw this great sales letter over here. I want to tweak the one that I wrote that's already out there and see if I can beat my own control. Can I beat my own sales letter? So there's no end to if the copy keeps working. You can have multiple packages mailing at any given time, whether it's for multiple clients or even within the same company. And once you have a few winners, you can start commanding a higher royalty. You know, our copywriters who have worked with us who started at like a B level or a C level, who have moved up or ascended to an A level copywriter, have a little bit more power in asking us for more money. And that's with everybody. The better you are, the more you can command, simply because the client knows that your sales letters are going to perform better, and therefore you should deserve a better piece. So once you have a few winners, you can start increasing your royalty rate. So royalties, it's a huge opportunity, and it's so funny because, you know, when we first started, that was the big thing about copywriting and direct response copywriting, that you could make a ton of money because of the royalties and the fees for sales letters. And then content writing became really popular in the last few years, and that's great too. You can make good money as a content writer. So a lot of people started moving towards content writing, and now we're seeing all of the companies are saying, where are all the direct response copywriters? Like, you guys told us you were turning out direct response copywriters, and their copy, they need more and more, and they're trying to sell more and more, and the copywriters aren't as available as they once were, and now it's like we're trying to pull the copywriters back over direct response, and people are seeing again, like, oh, wait a second, that's right, this content thing looks really sexy, and it seems a lot easier, and it is, but that copywriting thing, the direct response side, that's pretty cool, and there's a huge opportunity on that side as well. So royalties are super exciting. I can go on and on all day about this, but if you want to learn more, the main thing to start with, if you're just starting out, is to get a foundation in direct response copywriting. AWI's flagship program is the accelerated program for six-figure copywriting. There's a link there. It's on our website. That's the start. No matter which path you go down, whether it's financial, whether it's direct response for the web, whether it's health, self-help, karate, whatever it is, it all starts with a six-figure program. So if there are any questions in the Q&A of which program do I start with, anybody has 100 plus, this is the one. No matter which path you're hoping to choose or go down, this is where we're going to tell you to start. Even if it's B2B, anything, this is where we're going to tell you to start. But that's where you get started with royalties. And we actually talk about royalties and set you up for that path in this program. Okay, so we've already talked about two things, right? Specializing.
And Rebecca, just one thing. We are getting lots of questions, and just know that we will, about the legalities and all of those kinds of things, we will answer those at the end. So just sit tight, and I promise we'll get to those too. Because it's the kind of thing I think everybody's going to want to hear, so I'm flagging those, and we'll be sure to.
And feel free to interrupt me if you want. I wanted to keep this presentation to an hour. So that's one of the reasons we don't jump with a lot of questions halfway through, everyone, is so we can get through the content. That way, if you have to leave, you can leave and come back to the Q&A. But I will stay on and answer every question at the end until everyone's question is answered. That's part of the promise with INSIDE AWai. Okay, so moving on, number 3. This one seems obvious, right? Just write faster. If you want to make more money per hour, write faster. Your dollar per hour goes up, right? Because now instead of, and I'll actually walk you some examples of this, but your dollar per hour goes up even if you don't raise your rate, because it's taking you less time. You're not going to charge less money just because it takes you less time. And no matter what path you choose, which projects you take on, you are going to get better. You are going to get so much faster. It used to take me an entire day to write an article. Now I can do an article in about 45 minutes to an hour while I'm eating sushi. Like, I have a sushi restaurant that I go to. It's my favorite writing spot in town. I even have their Wi-Fi connection, but I can write it in under an hour while eating lunch now because I've just gotten so efficient at what I do. Am I going to charge less because I've become efficient? Heck no. It used to take me 8 hours. That's fine. Now it takes me an hour. I can charge the exact same rate, although really I should be charging more because I'm better at what I do now. But it takes me the exact same amount of effort. It's just only in an hour. I turn out the same quality of work. You're still getting the value that you're paying me for. So I'm not going to charge you less. So my dollar per hour, now it's instead of dividing by 8, I'm dividing by 1. So it goes up even if I don't raise my rate, which means now that I'm only writing 1 hour, I can take on more projects, right? So the more time that I have, because I'm writing faster, I could free up myself to take on more projects. So not only is my dollar per hour going up on the projects that I'm doing, but I can take on more projects because I have more time. And so therefore, that's going to move the bottom line as well. We're going into some, I know, a lot of business concepts, and for those of you who've never, worked with numbers, never owned a business before, this is big, marketing, business management stuff. So come back to this presentation. I really want you to understand this stuff because it's so important. You're setting out there to run your own business, and you do have the potential to make as much as you want, even if money isn't your driving motivator. We were talking about this yesterday. It's not about the money, but money buys you freedom, and freedom makes you really happy. So it's not about, I want more money, I want more money. It's that when I have money, I can have more choices. I can do more things, whether it's to spend time as I want, like I love to vacation, or to donate to my favorite charity, or just have peace of mind, help a sick one, whatever it is. That gives you freedom and power. And so it's not sometimes I feel bad that I talk about money too much, but I'm not afraid to talk about money because this is what this is about. We're here to make money as a writer. We're not here to pick up a writing hobby. So you'll hear me on most of these webinars confidently talking about money. So talk about money. Okay, but real quick, I gave the example of an article. This is another example of writing an email. This used to take me 3 hours. So if I'm getting $300 to write an email, which is a very reasonable fee, that's $100 an hour if it takes me 3 hours to write that email. If it takes me 2 hours, I get paid $150 an hour. And if it takes me 1 hour, which is about my rate now, my speed now, I now make $300 an hour. So you see how quickly your money can increase simply by becoming more efficient, by writing faster. So how do you write faster? The first one, it's like anything. You got to flex the muscle. Write every single day. I've picked up a guitar recently. I'm learning how to play the guitar. I'm reminded how much it sucks to start doing something new. My fingers don't understand it. I have blisters. My hand is cramping, but I'm doing it every single day, and I'm already getting better. I can feel myself getting better because my hands it's becoming more familiar to me. The same thing goes with writing, both physically for your hands. I'm an exceptional typer now. I type super fast. I recommend everybody learn how to type fast. The more you type, the faster you'll get. So writing every single day is going to make you type faster, but it's also for your brain. When I go on vacation and I come back and Jackie, who's on this call, has a bunch of copy needs for me and says I need to write this copy, I'm paralyzed. Day one, not good. Day two is a little bit better. By day three, I usually have my stride back, but just taking a week off hurts. It really hurts my efficiency because I'm not writing every day. I don't take my computer when I go on vacation. I just spend it with my family. So it hurts. It takes me back a little bit. Writing every day, it's not just about the physical part, it's your brain. The more you write, the more comfortable you get, the more ideas you have. It's like the more you do, the more you get. It feeds, your brain just feeds on it. And all of a sudden, by Wednesday, by Thursday, where I was having, blank page blues, now all of a sudden I have too many ideas, and I have a notebook next to me, and I'm writing out the next 7 series I'm going to write about, or the next 5 Inside AWai webinars, because I'm just so charged up and tuned in. So writing every day is a great way of writing faster. Get to know your topic really well. The more involved you are, I can write about AWI products and services. I can write to AWI members all day long. I know this, I live this, I breathe this. It's very easy for me to write about now because I just know it very well. So the more you get to know your own topics, the faster you're going to be. Specializing is going to take care of that for you. If you work just in, health supplements for boomers, it's going to be a lot easier for you than if you write health and financial. You're going to know more about your topics, so specializing is going to automatically take care of that. Taking on similar projects, I can bang through a bunch of emails if I'm in an email mode, right? I know somebody who specializes just in case studies. Her name is Casey Hibbard. She's awesome. And she can bang them out quickly because she knows, like she's in that groove. She understands exactly what that formula is for writing a good case study. What leads us to number 5, develop some methods that allow you to work more efficiently. I have an article, and there's an article that we posted on the website about this. I have a process for writing articles that allows me to write them very quickly. I didn't learn that process and then apply it. I created it based on when I realized what I was doing. We kind of reverse engineered it into a process. And actually, Mark Ford helped me with this. He was critiquing some of my articles, and I realized that there was a formula that I had created without even knowing it. And by identifying it, I was able to replicate it and get faster with the articles that I was writing. So that's just writing faster is going to make you more money as a writer. Timing-wise, this is awesome. I just found out about this last week. Clayton Makepeace, who is $1 Million copywriter, he is, one of the top copywriters living today. If you ever have a chance to learn from him, you need to jump on it immediately. He's offered to do a free 2-day webinar series on writing faster, and ironically, it's about writing $1 million sales letters in 7 days or less. So he's actually combining number 2 and number 3 of this presentation. He's showing you how to write a direct response sales letter, which was my, number 2, get royalties, and how to write them fast. Can you imagine writing a letter in 7 days? Like, that blows my mind. And if I was telling if an average copywriter takes a month or 2 months, 7 days, you could be moving on to the next promo. Imagine how many royalty streams you could put in place writing at his speed. I mean, and Clayton is brilliant at creating methodologies for things. And he's so forthcoming and generous with his information. So like I said, if you ever have the opportunity to learn from him, you take it right away. This link will be active on the PowerPoint, and we'll post it. You're going to see stuff about this for the next couple of days. But it's a free 2-day webinar series. And again, just being able to learn from him, you will walk away with so much from that time spent. So I highly recommend everybody sign up for that webinar. And it's free. Okay, number 4, our retainer deals. This is like one of my favorite things to talk about because for the person who asked, how do I transition from full-time to freelance, this is how you do it safely. Many of us have lives. We have bills. We have mortgages and car payments and kids, and people rely on us to make money every single month, and we have this job that pays us the money that everybody relies on us to make, right? So how do you transition from that life to the free life that you want to live, the freelancer life? Enter the retainer. With a retainer, if you've never heard about this before, you do the same work every single month, and the client pays you the same amount every month. So, Rebecca, I'm going to hire you to write 1 article a week. I'm going to pay you $1,000 a month, and I expect 4 articles every month, and you can expect $1,000 every month in return. That's a retainer. It's the same deal every single month. We both commit to it, and so I accept the copy as the client, and you expect the check as the copywriter. I was talking to Nick Osborne yesterday, And he said, he's like, I have this new way of looking at retainers. Retainers is like taking the best part of a full-time job and the best part of a freelance life and putting them together. It's the life of a freelancer with the stability of a full-time job, because you get to work where you want, for who you want, you work when you want, you have all those benefits that we talked about of the writer's life, but you have stable income. You still have that check coming in every month, which allows you to project and take care of your responsibilities. Benefits are galore. The first one, it's easier to forecast your income. You know when it's safe for you to make the leap because you know that you can make this much money already. You're already there. If you need to replace a $60,000 job, you can set up $60,000 worth of retainers, knowing that you're even going to have more time once you leave that job. You can add in more, but you'll feel safe. You can predict that income every single month, which gives you peace of mind. You're not having to wonder, I'm going to take this risk. Now, I will say a lot of people end up getting the rug pulled out from underneath them, and that's ultimately what pushes them into the writer's life. You know, I hear story after story about layoffs, and I don't want to go back. So I'm going to use this as fuel and fire. I'm going to put it under my butt, and I'm going to put the pressure on myself to make this work. But not everybody wants to do it that way, right? So some of us actually want to be in control of this and transition over from the full-time life to the freelance life. Ed Gandia is a great story. Many of you know him now as a huge success and coach. He's an INSIDE AWAI member. He came, took our program, and was like, yeah, I want to live the writer's life. But he was making over 6 figures at a sales job, and he was the breadwinner for the family. His wife stayed home to take care of their child. He could not just quit his job. That wasn't an option. So he changed the format of his job so that he could work from home, so that allowed him to have a little more flexibility. He started writing copy on the side, and the minute he saw that he was there, he needed more time on his copywriting in order to tip the scales. He quit his full-time job. It took him 27 months because he wanted to replace 6 figures year one. And that first year, he made $147,000 because he worked on the side doing this and made enough money to then make the leap safely. But retainers give you that peace of mind. Your per hour rate goes up over time just because you become more efficient. The more you work with me, or anybody, just like me, the article writing is going to get faster. I can put together a slide deck for a presentation like this so much faster. This used to take me 3 days to put together this PowerPoint presentation, and now I can do it within a couple of hours. So you just get better. And with retainers, because you're doing the same thing again and again and again, you will automatically get faster. You're not going to lower your retainer rate, right? You're not going to say, hey, Rebecca, I've become much more efficient at what I do for you, so therefore I think you should pay me less. It's not going to happen, right? You're still going to collect that fee. And if anything, you're going to increase it because your results are going to get better. The more and more you work with a client, the more repetition that you have, the results get better. So your track record gets better. Just because you know them and you know the product so well, you know the customers so well, your copy is just going to get better because of repetition. And that means that you have to spend more time making money and less time marketing. I thought I wrote that wrong. Spend more time marketing. No, you have to spend less time getting clients because you have retainer deals. Now, you're going to hear me beat this drum again and again. No matter how successful you are, no matter how many fish you've got biting on those lines, you keep dropping in more lines. You will always be marketing yourself because the more you market yourself, the more opportunities you get, right? So we want to be able to say goodbye to clients. We want to be able to make choices when things aren't going the way that we want them to go. So you'll always be doing some marketing. But when you have retainer clients, it's not like you're looking for how many projects you can get next month because you already have X amount of projects that are recurring, and you're only looking now for additional things to fill in the gap or just to try something new. So it allows you to spend less time marketing yourself and more time on the things that you can charge for, those billable hours. Oh, the wrong headline there. It's actually getting started with retainer deals, should be the headline on this page, but we did a full INSIDE AWai. We dove into what the best ones are, how to negotiate them, how to land them, best practices for setting up retainers. I recommend everybody watch that webinar. It's on INSIDE AWai. It's free, but it really helps you understand what the retainers are, where they are, how to land them, how to talk about them, and just how to be successful at them, how to set up good ones that feel good for both you and your client. I will tell you, because everybody always says, yeah, but what's your favorite? And I talk about this in that webinar. Mine is social media. I think social media is something that every writer should offer. It's such an easy add-on. It's a way you can start with it. Doing social media, most of us are on social media anyways, so why not get paid for it? You're already in there. You're already very comfortable with the app or how you use it on your computer. But the retainers are great. So all you need is a couple of them just to get a little bit of predictable income and freedom. And social media opens you up to so many other writing opportunities because you're constantly in contact with their customers, you know what problems they have, you know what they're asking for, and so then you can turn around to your client easily. And I go into great detail in that INSIDE AWai session, but you can turn around to your client and use all that intel to set yourself up with other work. Like, hey, I've got an idea for this sales letter. Hey, I have an idea for this article series. Whatever you want to write, social media can lead you to that opportunity and can give you it gives you all the intel that you can take to your client and say, hey, I've got a great idea. It wasn't even your idea. It was your client's idea, but your customer's idea, but that's okay because you get to present it, own it, and hopefully get paid for it. So retainer deals, great way to transition, great way of making more money as a writer. And if you want my favorite, it's social media. Okay, number 5 is to create a passive revenue stream. This one is oftentimes overlooked, or people think it's an either or. I'm either going to work for clients or I'm going to develop a passive revenue stream. I'm going to show you what that is, but the best scenario is that it's both, is that part of your time is spent working for clients and part of your time is spent doing building up a business that creates a passive revenue stream. This goes beyond royalties. Royalties technically are passive revenue as well, but this is actually creating a business, a side business that generates passive revenue. So along with the money, there are lots of reasons to do it. One, on the side, there's no deadline. So as your client work increases every month, you can just spend less time on your passive income business. If your client work goes down, though, you could put more work into your passive income business. So there's the nice flexibility of nobody's expecting you to get something done by a certain time. So you have a little bit of freedom with that. So there's no reason why you shouldn't do it. Even if you have a month where you're totally maxed out with client work, that's okay. You know, your passive, the business is going to stay there. It's not going to go. You might have to do a little bit, a couple hours here and there just to keep it going, but you won't have to, there's no pressure since there are no deadlines. No creative conflicts. There's no, your passive income business isn't going to tell you that they don't like your headline and lead and that they want you to take a different direction. So it's a great way of just writing freely, writing exactly how you want to write, when you want to write, what you want to say. You don't have to answer to anybody. It's an incredible training ground, and I'm going to encourage most of you at some point to take on a passive revenue business simply because, again, when your client work is low or even when it's high, it's a place where you can play. It's a sandbox. It's a playground where you can test new headlines and you can test new landing pages and just play with your copy to see what works better. Because when something works better, then you can go to client ABC, hey, I got a great idea, and I happen to have tested it over here and it worked great. So when you get into some of these other opportunities, and I've got a whole webinar on this one too, but when you get into some of these opportunities, you'll see it's just fun. It's the ultimate flexible schedule, right? Your side business doesn't ever say, I need you at a meeting at 8, because there's nobody there. It's you. It's just you and your writing, and you're building an asset. The thing that you create can be sold later on. It's an asset. You have traffic coming to your website. You have a website. You have all this content that could be turned into books. I mean, and I'm going to go through a couple of examples, but you're building this asset that can be sold in the end. So the time that you're spending along with it making you passive income, you're creating an asset. Oh, and I skipped number 5. You're marketing yourself, or no marketing yourself. Actually, it should say no marketing and you are marketing because, one, you don't have to market yourself. You don't have to get clients for your spare business. Anybody can start it on the side anytime, right? You don't have to seek anyone's permission. Nobody has to say yes. You can just do it when you want to. But in addition, it actually helps you market yourself. And this is a whole other topic that I include in this other webinar I'm going to show you. Once you have this side business, if it's in your niche, you now are a player in the field. You're not just a copywriter providing a service in the industry. You are one of the companies in the industry. So that is a whole other conversation now that I'm not even going to open the can of worms because it's super exciting and I would want to talk for an hour just about that. But examples of passive revenue gigs, money-making websites. We talk about these a lot at AWI. I go into all of these in the INSIDE AWI webinar. So you can learn more about them on our site. You can learn more about them there. But a money-making website is simply an information website on a topic that you're interested in, right? Nick Osborne, who's the head of our web copywriting program, his site is on coffee. And he actually wrote our program on writing money-making websites. Just writes about coffee. We've got people who write about water. I've got somebody who writes about a smoothie. Funny enough, all 3 of those are beverages. So we'll change direction for a little bit. I know somebody who makes money writing about the color pink. She and her daughter are writing about the color pink. We've got someone who writes about WordPress. It's just any topic that you could possibly think of. And we'll show you how to pick the right topic. But basically, you write content, and then that website brings you money through advertising and other different channels. But that's a money-making website. You do it on your own. You can practice your writing. It's just a great, easy side thing to do. You can publish ebooks. Bob Bly is our expert on this one. He has a whole empire that he has built just on churning out ebooks week after week. If you're on Bob's list, you're going to get a promotion for an ebook week after week. He is shocked at how much money he has made on his ebooks. And we have a great course on that. We have a lot of information on it. He's very helpful with getting you up and going. But you can just sit and write book after book, and and these aren't mutually exclusive. You can have a money-making website, and every time you have 50 pages or so on your site, turn it into an ebook and sell that too. I mean, you can combine all these things. And the third one is to build a list and send emails. If you joined me 2 weeks ago for a webinar that I did with Ben Settle on the 10-minute workday, that's what this was all about. You are a persona. You find a market that needs solutions. They have a problem and they need solutions, and you offer to answer those, to solve those problems and to give them information on that solution. You build a list and you send them emails. Every single day, you write an email and you send it. That's the business. It's a very, very simple business model, and there are some intricacies to picking the right topic and learning how to build your niche, which we do cover in great detail. But these are 3 very simple examples of things that everybody can do. Create an information site, publish some ebooks, or build a list and send it emails every day. And there's no reason why everybody can't do that on the side of their client work.
And Rebecca, I just want to jump in here. You know, a lot of writers who this appeals to, they do think of this almost in terms of clientless copywriting, a clientless career. And, you know, for people that are crazy about the whole client side, this is such a huge opportunity. And just the other thing I wanted to point out, too, is all of these things that on this list, plus courses and programs and things like that, that's all part of this bigger world of information marketing, publishing, which is a huge opportunity and lends itself to all these things beautifully.
Excellent. So there's that webinar that I talked about, how to make money writing without any clients. We did that one last year. People got very excited about it, like Katie said. I still would encourage both. You know, you've got the client work and the clientless work, but for those of you who are looking to start out and it just, maybe you're working full time and can't take on clients right now, you don't want to have the calls coming in or, you know, whatever, or you just don't like the idea of working for anyone, this might be an option for you as well to go completely in that direction. And that webinar, we walk through those opportunities that I talked about in great detail, show you how to get started, and just kind of cover it in like I said, each of these topics could easily be an hour, if not more. All right, number 6, seems obvious, right? Just raise your rates. The one thing about this, though, is that you can't do it a lot of times, but everybody should be doing it at least some of the time, except for if you're working for me. All my copywriters who are on this webinar right now, I'd like for you to mute your phone, just walk away for like 5 minutes, and you can come on back. That this is a regular part of doing business, right? Everybody raises their rates. Your dentist raises his rates. Just inflation, right? Our money today is not worth as much as it will be, as it was 10 years ago. If we're making the same amount of money, inflation happens. Things cost more money. We have to raise our rates. So that's just part of doing business, right? It's a regular part of doing business. So you regularly will go to your clients every few years, whatever it is, and just say, hey, just so you know, my sales letter fee is now this. It's moved up to this. So that's just part of doing business. You'll also do it when you start building a track record. So when you first get started, you might accept a lower fee because you're kind of learning. You're not going to tell them this, but you might accept a lower fee because you want some experience, you want samples on your website, you want testimonials, and so therefore you're willing to take a little bit less. And again, this is not, we talk about this in another INSIDE AWai too, as far as marketing yourself. You're not going out there saying, hey, I'm brand new, someone give me a chance. That's not what you're doing here. But you, in your mind, your marketing strategy might be, I'm going to charge a little bit less so I can get more clients right now just to get some samples, testimonials, and experience. But the minute you have that, hey, guess what? Your rates are going up. They're going to go up for the clients that you were working for and for anyone new that you're bringing on. And that's why you want to keep marketing yourself. You don't want to settle for those first clients that you take on. Now, some of them might be great clients that you might keep forever, but you want to have choices, so you want to keep marketing yourself. And if your clients can't afford your raised rates, hopefully you have then other opportunities with other clients who can afford you. And that's okay. You're going to say goodbye to your first few clients. It's part of it. We send these baby birds out of the nest all the time at AWai. I've been here 13 years, and, you know, they work with us for a few years, and then they fly because they seek bigger and better. And it's just part of this. They have to make those hard decisions to leave the nest and go out in the world. But there are other copywriters that I've worked with for years. The flip side of that, Heather Robson, who runs Wealthy Web Writer, I've worked with her for 10 years. I'm a great retainer client for her. She's never had to worry about finding a replacement for me. She can count on me month after month after month to pay her every single month to run Wealthy Web Writer. So, but when you first start out, you might take on some lower clients. As soon as you start building that track record, as soon as you have testimonials, you have a few samples, it's time to start raising your rates. You'll raise your rates when you invest in your own abilities. We had a great, talking about learning from Clayton, we had this intensive where it was this crazy unique opportunity to learn financial copywriting from the godfather of financial copywriting. Clayton, along with being an amazing direct response copywriter, is the sought-out copywriter in financial. If you can get him, he's the guy. He did this incredible intensive for us 2 years ago, I think it was. He brought in financial publishers who are looking for copywriters, and he trained them his method. And these publishers basically sat over their shoulder like salivating, waiting for these copywriters to finish so they could snatch them up. Every single one of those copywriters should have walked out of the room, turned to all of their clients and said, by the way, I'm raising my rates. And our copywriter who was working for us, who did go to that event, did raise his rates. But you've invested in your own ability. You're better than you were before. So those things, you have to be thinking about those investments too. What's the return on the investment that I'm making? That's a whole other conversation. In my career though, I've decided to take this intensive, I've decided to invest in this training, I've decided to do this thing for my business. What is that going to mean down the line? For me, I invested in my MBA. When I got my MBA, what's the first thing I did? I quit one job and asked for more money at the second job because I had invested in myself. I did that strategically for a reason. So for those of you coming to boot camp, those of you coming to Web Intensive, be thinking about that. It's time for you to raise your rates. We have people who came to Web Intensive last year. Web Intensive, if you're not familiar, is an event that we do here in Austin, Texas, in my hometown, every year. It's at the end of February this year. It's an expensive event, but when you leave there, the promise is that you walk out of this 3-day event able to do the assignments that we've taught you. When these guys leave this event at the end of February, they'll be able to do PPC, pay-per-click ads, they'll be able to write blogs, they'll be able to plan out funnels, they'll be able to write websites. I mean, they're coming out with a turnkey business ready to go, and then we show them how to implement it. So they need to all come out of that event charging more money than what they came in for. So when you invest in your own abilities, be thinking about that it's time for you to raise your rates. When you're providing more value, the more you work with someone, the more value you're going to provide. And be generous with what you do provide. So let's say you're working on a retainer, Heather Robson. I'm going to use her as an example. Again, she runs Wealthy Web Writer. That's her thing, right? Her job is to make sure that the content gets posted on Wealthy Web Writer month after month, that we have the right content, we're keeping our web writers up to speed, that we're bringing in the best experts, the most timely information. That's her job. I get an email from her almost every other week with something. Hey, I read this promo that you're promoting on this product over there. Have you ever thought of doing it that way? Hey, this person over here is interested in a speaker. Would you want to speak at their event? She's constantly contributing to our business. She feels like she's part of the business. She's providing more value. She is worth more than just the job that she's doing simply because she constantly wants to provide value to the business. She cares about us as a client. We met with Mindy McCourse yesterday, who runs Barefoot Writer. Hopefully many of you read that magazine or are part of that club. Kate and I, she'd been on maternity leave for 12 weeks. She said, I have a few ideas I'd like to run past you. Kate and I get on a call. She sends us this document. It has 37 ideas. At idea 23, Katie laughed and said, this is awesome. I'm so overwhelmed right now. I can't take anymore. She didn't have to do that. We didn't pay her to do that. We didn't pay her for that brainstorming. She's invested. She wants her product to do well. She wants INSIDE to do well. You can tell that she cares. She lives and breathes and sleeps. It's just like us. Even though she's a paid contractor, she's consistently contributing value. I hired her years ago to write the reality blog over on Wealthy Web Writer. That was her first assignment with me, and now she's moved all the way up to the executive editor of Barefoot Writer. So obviously what we're paying her today is a lot more than what we were paying her back then. She provides more value. She consistently provided more value, and she consistently raised her rates over the years to where she is right now. And then finally, the scope of the project has changed. If you can add on, and I'm going to talk about this one in detail, that's my number 7, spoiler alert, we'll be increasing the scope of projects. But if you were hired to write the emails, and now all of a sudden you're also writing the content in the landing page, or you were hired to write the landing page, and now you're writing the emails, you need to raise your rates. You've got to charge more. The scope of the project has changed. You're actually putting more into it now. It might be that it's not really going to take you much more time, but either way, what they hired you to do and what you're actually doing are now different. And so you might want to raise your rates simply for that reason. Or let's say it's a retainer deal, right? Charlotte runs our B2B Writing Success. That site was smaller. She took that job on when I launched that website. It's a bigger site now. It has more pieces to it. It's got more members involved in it. She had to raise her rates. The scope of her deal changed because of what she was doing. The volume changed the scope of what she originally signed on for. She had to raise her rates. Which leads us to our seventh and final way of making more money as a writer: expand the scope of every project you take on. Don't just leave this up to your client. I want everybody on this webinar. I put this as a reminder to myself to tell you that I want everyone on this webinar doing this. And this is a whole other, I actually want to do a webinar on this. And this is like a marketing 101, understanding all of the pieces that happen in marketing. As copywriters, we oftentimes will look at one project and we'll focus in on that piece of the puzzle without even knowing that the puzzle exists, especially when you're brand new. You come in, you're like, okay, you want me to write emails? Great, I'm going to write emails, and you focus on the email. I know that you can't visually see me right now, but I have my arms going all kind of crazy. But in front of those emails and behind those emails are a whole bunch of more marketing things that are happening. Before those emails, there might be ads on on Facebook. They might lead to landing pages. There might be a webinar. There might be a free report. Then your emails come in. After those emails, there might be a sales letter. There might be something else coming down the line. Looking up the line and looking down the line and understanding what the line is and all the pieces that are part of the marketing chain is a huge opportunity for copywriters. You can get started, though, just on social media. You can get started just writing emails. You can get started just writing newsletters. Don't worry about that. That's okay to start. But down the line, I'm going to want you to look up and down that marketing chain, because when you get a client, right, and I've looked at paying you $1,000 to write the emails, well, if you wrote the landing page, that's $500 more. If you wrote the sales letter that comes after the emails, that could be another $10,000. So wouldn't you rather just take full advantage of that client and write all the pieces, or write more of the chain than just the one piece that you've been hired on to do? It's better for you because you know you're going to be more efficient than if you had all those pieces with different clients. You know me, you know my product, you know my customers now, you've been working on the whole chain, and the thing is going to perform better because I have one writer writing all these pieces that are connected. So it's a huge opportunity, something we need to talk about more often, and I'm going to do a whole INSIDE AWai on this to show you kind of the depth and the breadth of marketing and how many pieces there are within every single company, and how you as a copywriter can really expand each of your client relationships just by simply understanding the full chain. So what you can do to expand the scope, just simple stuff. Offer to write supporting content. Let's say you've been hired to write a marketing campaign, write the content. You know, we were talking to Clayton earlier today, and he said, you know, why aren't you putting out more content about this thing that you're trying to sell? Post more editorial. You can offer that to your clients. Why don't you also send out content, post editorial, social media messages that support this campaign? Offer to write the other pieces before and after the part of your campaign. So again, if you're hired to write the emails, maybe write the landing page, maybe write the Facebook ads, you can do more. Those of you coming to Web Intensive, we're going to show you the whole chain. It's 7 pieces that we're going to cover, and you will be able to write all 7 pieces. Add more value to the campaign and the customer experience. This is something that I was actually I trained on this a couple days ago with our advanced training group. I was teaching them about autoresponders and funnels, and someone on there latched onto this idea. You are oftentimes hired to bring in a customer, right, to sell them something or to get them to take an action. Once they take that action, though, what happens? Is the company doing a good job of making sure that they enjoy the product, that they use the product, that they benefit from the product? If they're not, that's a huge opportunity for you to come to the table and say, okay, great, you hired me to write these emails to sell this product. What happens after they buy it? And the client is going to look at you and say, I hadn't thought of that. Well, it's a lot easier for me to keep that client for you than for you to bring on another buyer. Why not keep the buyers that you have in addition to bringing on new buyers? So they're called consumption is one where you're getting someone to use a product, or just improving member experience. After someone buys, what happens? Can you write pieces that can help the customer be happy and use the product? And that's a huge opportunity. And then finally, after clients, what's happening next beyond that? What's the next action you want them to take? Great, Rebecca, they signed up for the Barefoot Writer. What happens next? What do you want them to do next? Can I write those pieces? That's a great way for you to immediately increase the value, because now you're telling me that you understand the marketing side and that you care about what happens next, and it sets you up for the perfect proposal. I'm going to give you the answer, and then you're going to say, hey, can I write that too? Okay, almost finished. Final thoughts. Be mindful about how you spend your time. Every minute of every day is worth something. So the next time you get on Facebook to goof around, think about the value of that time. Every project that you take on, don't just look at the top dollar amount. Yes, this project is worth $10,000. How much time is it going to take? Because $10,000 from client A and $10,000 from client B can look very, very different. You need to be mindful of how much time each of those projects take. And you will learn some clients, and it's the 80-20 rule of business. So you're going to make, here I'm at the very, very end. The ones that are going to give you the biggest hassle, the 80% of the time that you spend are going to be worth 20% of your money. And the ones who pay you the most are going to give you the least amount of hassle. It's just this weird thing. So you got to be mindful of which clients are time sucks and who are falling below your dollar per hour. So be mindful of how you spend your time. Regularly evaluate where your money is coming from. This is an annual thing, if not quarterly. Take a step back. 30,000 feet, look, how's my money-making website doing? How is client A doing? How is client B doing? How are my ebooks doing? All right, how much time am I spending in each of these buckets? How much money am I making? Ooh, wait a second. Money-making websites, that got a lot higher per hour than it was last year. Could I make more? If I move some of my hours over there, what would that look like for my bottom line? Be mindful of the buckets and they're going to change year over year. Your client A is going to evolve year over year. It might be harder, they might work less, you never know. So you want to be looking at where your money is coming from. Make sure you're spending your time on the highest value things. That one's obvious. Look for ways to improve efficiencies. Always be looking for ways to get faster. Because the faster you are, it's not about, I don't want to paint the picture of like you running a sprint down a football field, but rather if you're more efficient and if you can do it faster, you can actually rest more. You have more time for other things. It's not about like speeding, it's about just doing it more efficiently. You know, it's about prepping the ingredients for your dinner before you get done to cook so that the cooking isn't chaotic. We've all made a meal before where we're trying to follow the recipe and it's like, and now I have to cut this and that pan is over there and now the timer's going off for this. Whereas if you had done all the prep work and, prepped everything first, then cooking becomes a lot easier. So look for efficiencies in your writing. And then finally, like my example of Heather and Mindy, value your good clients and provide great value. Always be looking for opportunities to provide value at every turn. Don't always be looking to get paid. It's not always about one more assignment. It can just be the, hey, Rebecca, I was thinking about you. Have you thought about changing your headline like this? Or have you ever thought about going after that market or anything? Provide value. Companies and clients want to work with people who are passionate, right? Who love what they do, who care about their company, who care about their products, who care about their customers. It comes through in your writing and it comes through to them. They understand when you're super excited about their stuff and they want to work with you and they're willing to pay you a lot more. I did it, 1 hour. So with that, now you have 7 ways to make more money as a writer, and we can open it up for questions.
Okay, we have been fast and furious over in the Q&A. I do want to start back with some questions people had about royalties, how they're calculated, what kind of protections they need for themselves, and just address that because that is a common concern that new writers have. And just to start the conversation, it is in the marketer's best interest to be fair with you and make it a win-win situation. So if you've written something that works for them, believe me, they're going to want to come back and get more and more. And if for some reason you weren't treated fairly or respectfully or got the money that you deserved, obviously you wouldn't want to write for them again. So there is that kind of self-interest involved there. While maybe there are some people that are very short-sighted and do possibly take advantage, those aren't companies that's the small majority, and you're just not going to write for them again, and it will totally be their loss. So that isn't something that I would worry about. As far as if you need contracts, when you're given an assignment, in most cases, the client will send you a letter of agreement. It's not a huge legal document. It's just basically, we are hiring you to do this. This is what we expect to get. this is the payment, this is the deadline. It's that kind of simple language. This isn't a big complicated thing. Now, we don't give legal advice or accounting advice for that matter. You need to go to your local professionals. But if there ever was a situation where you thought you needed a lawyer, by all means do that. But again, that's not what this is about, and that's not going to be something that you run across. So if that's a concern or an obstacle, just rest assured that that's not the case.
It's funny, we hear that a lot, and I think it's just because it's an unknown. It's scary. Mysterious, yeah. This whole royalty thing. But I'll tell you, we've been in this business 20 years. I've been with this company 13 years. I rarely hear of a scenario like this. And don't, trust me, people come to us. If they ever have anything bad go down, they want us to know about it. They want our help to, how do they navigate it? I maybe hear of it once a year, if that. So it's not a very common thing for one. For two, yes, you might, if you get into a situation and you want to hire a lawyer, blah, 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 by all means. But I will tell you, this could go for not even royalties, but for people just paying you for your work. Again, I rarely hear of this, but in my experience, it's better just to walk away. The time, energy, and money that you can put into it, you really have to weigh that against what you're hoping to potentially gain back. And again, I rarely, not even yearly, of all the years I've been here, I've maybe heard 5 stories of, you know, can you warn your members about this company because they're not paying the way that they're supposed to. It just doesn't really happen that often. And my advice for the most part, unless you're in like a tens of thousands of dollar situation, is to just walk away and be thankful that you're not married to that company, that you get to walk away. Because it's just the time and energy is not good.
Yeah, chances are they're not even going to be around, and you just move on. And that's the beauty. There are so many companies that need your help, that need your service, that value copywriting. And that brings me to 2 other points. Someone was saying that they have been writing for a company and it's been going well, but they don't want a sales letter. They don't appreciate a sales letter. They're not open to it. And my advice there is keep doing the writing that you're doing, but move on to somebody else as far as writing sales letters. You don't want to convert somebody. You don't want to talk them into doing something. If they don't believe already, if they don't see the value and understand how it works, the project's not going to go anywhere. And, it just will implode and it won't be a pleasant experience. So again,
and you're setting yourself up to fail, because the minute if you talk somebody into something, they're waiting for it to fail to prove themselves right. So you're automatically in a bad situation. So the same thing here, we don't convert anyone into becoming a copywriter. If you don't believe in copyright, if you don't want to know about this, no worries, see you later. It's not worth it, because otherwise the person that you convince is automatically looking for it to fail. And so it's just not a good situation. What I would recommend there too, though, is if someone doesn't want to do a format like a sales letter, you can still use the skills in other formats. You can still do email sequences. You can still do, an email sales pitch. You can do a webinar sales pitch. You can do a whole bunch of other things to use your persuasive copywriting skills outside of a sales letter to still get the same end result.
Okay. Somebody's asking about how long does it take for a money-making website to start making money?
Nick always answers this question as it's like asking how long is a piece of string. Like it really depends. We've had people who've been able to get their site up and make money right away. Like Roy Furr did one on kettlebells, these like weightlifting things, and he was able to sell right away. Other people, it's like a long tail, 6 months, 7 months. It really depends what your topic is, how fast you work. It's not a get-rich-quick thing. I mean, money-making websites is all about, we call it get-rich-slow, because it is every month, hopefully, increasing over the month before. I will tell you, though, one of our first person I ever hired to run our social media, her name is Holly Hanna. She has a website called The Work at Home Woman, and she started it. We hired her to do some research for the work at home market, and she looked around and said, these sites are horrible. I could put together a way better website than these. She was a nurse and had a young baby, and that's why she was working for us part-time. She didn't want to go back to nursing, and when her daughter went to school, she didn't want to have to go back full-time anymore because she loved being home with her daughter and wanted to meet her at the bus stop when she came home from school. And I'm happy to report she didn't have to go back. Her website, even though now she's been working on it 8 years, it's cleared well over 6 figures, I can tell you that much. And it's blowing her mind as just how big it has become. So it can be a huge thing but it takes time. It wasn't the first year. You know, the first year she made some money, the second year she made more, the third year she made more. The idea of it is to do it on the side so that it's a growing asset year after year.
Right. We have another batch of questions, I would say, as far as how do you get the basic skills, how do you know when you're ready? We recommend to everybody that they start with the accelerated program for six-figure copywriting. This is the company that, this is the program that launched our company. It's been updated regularly throughout our 20-year history to keep up with the changing changes within the industry, but the foundations, the principles, the framework that you're going to learn is really universal and timeless. And by mastering that foundation, you are in the best possible place to do any type of writing that you want to do. So that's really where you start, and then you build on it from there. And then the other question that I'm seeing quite a bit is, how do I know when I'm ready to get clients? And I'm going to say, probably before you think you're ready, because if you have done this training, you know more than most of the companies you'll be working for and most of the writers out there. So I want you to have that in your back pocket, that you are an AWAI trained copywriter and all that that means and all that that stands for. And we spend as much time in the whole of the AWAI, we spend as much time on helping you build your business, get started, get clients, get better clients, as we do on the actual skill building, because we know that's just as important. While this, you know, you come to us for the skills, but like Rebecca was saying, it's really about what those skills will get you. So
it's interesting. We had a success story just this week. Steve Meyer, the company had posted a job on Indeed, but they came to him through LinkedIn because he was an AWAI trained copywriter and asked him to apply for the job, and he got it. He just signed a contract with them. This actually might be the one that tips him over to being able to quit his full-time job, which I'm super excited about because February is his goal. But that does have weight, like Katie said. And I will tell you, even sitting through these sessions that you're sitting through right now, you know more than a lot of people out there just about business right now. Take the information from our sessions, take the information from our programs, and use that stuff. Talk about it with your clients. You know more than you think you know. And you're going to get better. I tell this story all the time, too. When I started with AWAI, I took the copywriting course. I'm like, yeah, I want to be a copywriter, too. Katie, can I write something? She's like, yeah, sure. So 2 years later, I started writing some content. I am mortified at that content. It was good enough back then to publish, but it's not my best now. You just get better as time goes on. So you got to start somewhere, right? You have to take on the first project, and there's a really good chance that you're already ready now.
And, you know, Rebecca covered a lot in this webinar, so it's hard for it all to even sink in at this point. Go back. This is available to you. Plus, we have, I think, 14 others or 13 others that are topic specific, but go into this kind of detail. So just going through that library is going to give you so much insight and skills that you will be able to start applying. And then there's, on top of that, there's all the resources on our website that are available to you. So there's a lot there. And the other thing, if you're serious about this, you need to know that you're never going to stop learning. You're never going to be done. You're never going to be cooked. You're always going to be getting better. You're always going to be learning. And for so many of us, that's one of the perks. That's one of the pluses here. It's never boring.
I want to address this one. I answered it in the Q&A, but it's such a good, other people might have this question. Trina says, why are some of these courses so expensive? I have interned at 2 newspapers, so I do have experience. I've been encouraged by friends and family to write a book or a screenplay. If you think about it, the price of our courses and our training is way less expensive. We're teaching you a career. This is not a hobby. We're not teaching you to write for fun, right? We're not teaching you to write poetry or anything like that, which is all great too. That's a great skill set, but we're teaching you a career. a career that can afford you more money, and I know this sounds cliche and it's a sales part, but that can make you more money than most doctors and lawyers, and you're not on call and you're working less hours. This is a career. Those people paid $100,000 for their careers. So when you compare that to like a $1,000 course or a $500 course or even a trade school, go learn how to be an electrician. The amount of money that you're going to spend for that or to do computer programming or whatever, it's really, if you just think about it that way, this is not AWI isn't in the business of creating hobbies, right? We're in the business of helping people create real careers to make real money, to do business with companies. So we need you, and you'll see, those of you who've been to the 6-year course, it's not an easy course. It's not a simple, hey, fun, just kind of read through it. It's 500 pages. It's, you know, and that's the beginning. This is a career.
And assignments. But I have to just interrupt you, Rebecca. Jim just wrote in, and I'm not going to call out who he's writing to, but he's addressing this comment as well, and he says, I have a university degree in creative writing and a master's degree in linguistics. I took the AWAI accelerated program and learned more about writing from AWAI than I did during my 6-year, $80,000 education combined.
Nice.
And he goes on to say, AWAI is worth every dollar. So that
Can I use that?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give us permission to use that? That's fantastic. Thank you.
And Rebecca, you know, something else that's really been fun in this is the number of people who have told us they have clients already, or
I know
some of them are through the program, or they're not through yet, or and congratulations. And it really is up to you. There's only so much we can do. We put it all out there. We give you as much as we possibly can. But the bottom line is it's up to you. And that starts with acknowledging to yourself you're a copywriter. Somebody early on said, you know, when am I going to feel like a copywriter? Well, you know what? Right now, I'm appointing you, I'm anointing you. You are a copywriter. If you're doing this, if you're in this, you are. And as soon as you start owning that and letting the world know, that's when things are going to come into place and things are going to start happening. So I applaud everybody for raising your hands, to taking the time. If this was just an interest, you wanted to learn a little bit more, but for those of you who are just soaking up so much more and learning as much as you possibly can, you know, we applaud you. And you inspire us, too. I do have to say that. This is why we do what we do.
I love this. I want to answer this question. You guys answered it, too, but just this is a comment that I get a lot. You know, what do you deal – Patricia's asking, how do you deal with global competition? For example, I know the company I work for hires copywriters from other countries who work for minimal rates by U.S. standards. And so how do you deal with that? You're not going to work for those companies. You know, you get what you pay for. Gone are the days of Google rewarding companies who have $5 articles on their websites. People want to get paid $5 an article. Fantastic. There are companies who want to hire them, and we're going to let those writers do those jobs. Those are not the jobs that we're talking about here. That's not what we're teaching you to take on. When you go through our Getting Client stuff, and every program that we have is equal, like Katie was saying, we teach you the skills, and we teach you how to get the clients, because we understand that having a skill isn't enough. We know that you need someone to actually pay you the skill. They need to give you money for the skill in order for you to make a living at this. So every expert we bring on, every program we publish has the requirement. It has to tell you how to get clients. If you take our newsletter program, it's going to show you how to write newsletters, and it's going to show you how to write newsletter clients. If you take our social media program, it's going to show you how to do the social media job as a writer, and it's going to show you how to find the social media clients. That's just part of our business model and what separates us really from other training. You know, when I got my marketing degree from Florida State, nobody showed me how to get clients. They didn't show me how to get a job, right? They just pushed me out there and said, start interviewing. It's different. We give you the skills and we show you how to build your business. So let companies hire those $5 writers, and let those $5 writers take those jobs. That's fantastic. We want nothing to do with them except for to compete with them on Google, and we're going to win every time because our copy is going to be better. It's going to be better written. We understand direct response. We understand persuasion. We understand the action that we're trying to get to take. We understand it all. And if you go through our stuff, a lot of this is top-level marketing conversation. You're going to be surprised at how much you know just by being in this world, just by reading, by absorbing. You already know more than you think that you know, and you will be amazed at how much more you're going to know a year from now and 2 years from now. So bottom line, those companies are out there, those writers are out there. leave them over there. We're going to stay over here where the money is, where companies who value us are, and those are the ones we want to work for. We want to write for companies who value us as writers, who know what we bring to the table, right? The ones who hire the $5 have no idea. They don't value that. That's why they're paying $5 for it. So don't worry about that. You stay over here with us. All right. What's the typical royalty to help B2B companies generate leads? Typically in B2B, there are no royalties, so that is something to think about. B2B is awesome. It's an awesome opportunity. It's one of the most accessible paths for copywriters, mainly for the reason I explained earlier with my solar technology example. Everybody comes to the table with some level of experience, right? You've done something in your life. If you're just coming out of college, you at least have an interest in something. But B2B you get to use your professional expertise or experience on day one, even though it's not related to copywriting. That in return, so that it makes it very accessible for copywriters. B2B companies also don't mess around. They expect to pay professional fees. They expect to hire professionals. So even when you're starting out, the low end of a scale for a case study is not much different than the high end of a scale for case studies. You can expect to make $1,000 to $1,500 for a case study, even when you're just starting out. Again, B2B, that's the draw of B2B. There are no junior entry-level projects that you limp in on. You come in as a professional and you're expected to pay professional fees. But the only downside is you're not going to find a lot of seven-figure copywriters in B2B. Steve Flonwright always says that the B2B is the surest route to 6 figures. Of all the copywriting paths, more people are going to hit 6 figures than any other path, but they're not going to hit 7. Unless you're doing other things, you're not going to have Clayton Makepeaces over in B2B who are taking down major royalties. We know a copywriter who, one letter, he took down a $400,000 royalty. Like, I mean, can you imagine getting a check for $400,000 for a sales letter that you wrote? Like, it just blows my mind. That doesn't happen in B2B. So you typically won't be paid. There might be companies who do lead generation where you're paying for a lead, and in that case, you might be able to set yourself up that way, but a copywriter in general doing lead generation does not get paid a royalty for the leads created.
But, and Rebecca, just one other thing, but there's so many pros to B2B. The other pro that you didn't mention is that it typically is a steady gig. It's easier to get, it could possibly be easier to get retainers there. And plus there's so much collateral material that goes along with any type of project or initiative that they did. So that once you have your foot in the door and you're familiar with the company, it's very easy to become a go-to writer there.
Yeah, B2B companies in general are very lazy at finding other copywriters. They don't seek copywriters out, and lots of copywriters don't go knocking on the door of B2B companies. Steve asks every year just to kind of get a feel for it. He'll ask his clients, how many copywriters have you heard from this year? And it's either none or one. Whereas, you know, if you're the top financial publisher in financial, you might have dozens of copywriters who want to get their foot in the door, who are trying to beat your control. It's a little more competitive. B2B is not competitive. No one's trying to, quote unquote, unseat your control or try to beat you. And they don't want to find new copywriters. Once they find you and like you, they just keep coming back. And the B2B process, every one sale, you know, you're not selling a paperclip. You're selling, like, you know, something that could be a $10,000, $100,000, $1 million purchase. That's going to take more than a sales letter. It's going to take 12, 18, 24 touches to that person to get them to buy a decision. And all of those things are written by copywriters. So one client, one product, one campaign, you might have 24 assignments just from the one client. So they keep you really busy. I want to address, just disappeared. Someone just, I would like to address this really quick. It just jumped away though. It was about, she's feeling scared and how does she get past.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, I'll just jump in real quick. And I just, you know, that's not unusual. That's not something to hold you back. That's something that really should be turned into a motivator. And just know that your first step can be as big or as small as you want it to be. You know, the first step is getting the training, getting the confidence. And honestly, if you try it and find that it's not for you, you just let us know, and you know, we'll part ways friends. That's not an issue. But the thing to be scared of is not trying and not knowing what this world could actually take you to. But Rebecca, what are you going to add to that?
Just that everything in my life that I've ever been through that has been worth it, I have been terrified of. Like the biggest things in life, like, you know, taking the stage for the first time at boot camp, putting my name out there for the first time with a byline and Wealthy Web Writer, marrying my husband, having my first baby, everything that has been worth it, that has been really, really worth it, where I've gotten the huge return, has made me feel like I wanted to throw up right before. So nerves, that's normal. It means that you're onto something big. It means that you're onto something worth it. You fear things because you really, really want it to succeed, and that's a good thing. So like Katie said, use that as fire and say, okay, nerves, I get it. I get it. There's something big on the other side, so I'm going to try to get this done. As far as how to move forward, we have that. I'm trying to find the links, so someone else can post them in the Q&A. We did 2 INSIDE AWai sessions I'd like for you to watch. One is about a personal roadmap, how to create a roadmap of the steps you need to take. In my experience, the reason people fear marketing themselves, the reason they fear moving forward is because it's an unknown. We take this for granted. I've been in business for almost 20 years. I've been in marketing for almost 20 years. It's very natural to me to understand the steps. I've been training copywriters for 13 years. I know what it takes to launch your business, those steps that you have to take. It might be kind of vague to you, and so you fear what you don't know. You fear because you don't know what the next step is. We can say, take this course, and you're like, okay, great, but I still have to get a client. How do I do that? And I can still even give you the information, but it's that fear of the unknown. So part of it is just going to be you doing, picking up the phone, reaching out on social media, doing what we say to do. We can only give you so much information. You're going to have to do the job, you do the work. But part of it, what I feel can help, is creating a roadmap of steps. That way, it's very scary to look forward and say, I have to get from here to there, right? And I know you can't see me, but my arm is going really far, like the path is really long. I have to get from here all the way over there. But if I create a list of steps that can get me from here to there, now I'm no longer worried about there. I'm only worried about the next step. When I was really young, I got picked for this great job where they put me through this marketing training program. And at the end of this program, 6 months later, they assigned everybody their department where they were going to be working. And they told me, Rebecca, you're going to go, we just bought a company in London, you're going to go and do all of this training that you just learned, you're going to train the London team. I was like 22 years old, terrified. I'm going to live in a country, I'm going to leave the country, live in a country where I don't know anybody, all my friends and family are here, what? And I was paralyzed. And of course I said yes, because everything in life worth, doing, someone's just got to say yes and jump in. I said yes, and then I called my mom freaking out, and she said the same thing. Don't worry about there. Don't worry about the end game. Worry about the next step. What do you have to do today? I have to get a passport. Good. Just worry about that. You got a passport. How do you get to the airport? You're going to drive me. Great. We got that one done. So we got to the airport, and we sat on the other side of security and said, what do you have to do next? I got to get on the plane. Yep. Don't have to worry. But what about when I get to immigration? What if my letter from the lawyer, blah, blah. Don't worry about that. You're not there yet. Right now, all you have to do is get on the plane. And so creating that path, then all of a sudden you're just taking that little step forward at a time. So we did 2 webinars. One is on creating a roadmap so that you can create that path, and I highly recommend everybody go through. It'll also make sure that you don't waste any time. By understanding your path, where A to Z is, understanding what Z is and defining it, you'll know then if something appears, if it's a bright, shiny object, like a program or a client or a spec or whatever else, or if it's something that's going to move you forward on your path. And that way you don't waste time and money doing things that are just exciting. You're doing things that are moving you forward. So watch that one. And then I want everyone to watch the webinar that Joshua Boswell did. It's called How Do I Get Clients? It's like we've optimized it for the search engine, so it's Get Started Finding Copywriter Jobs, but it also gives you the marketing roadmap to actually promoting yourself. And I find that if you watch that, and I've gotten incredible response from this, if you watch that, it kind of demystifies it and makes it seem not that hard. So those are 2 webinars that hopefully.
And just one other thing I want to talk about. Well, it's true, this is a tight industry, and marketers do want to know about the latest, greatest copywriter and who's, and all that. People don't talk about things that don't work, or if a project doesn't work, it's okay. You just move on, and then you move on to the next one.
Good
so it's
point.
Not like there's some big black book that, that you get blackballed or that you're drummed out. You just move on. There's even Clayton's and the big guys have some things that don't work. I mean, it's just human nature. But that's the beauty of this business. There's so much more. So, again, don't let that, if that's the fear that's in your head, just, there's so many fish in this sea. And sometimes if it's not a connection or if it doesn't work the way, okay, you take the lessons and you apply it to the next one so that the next one has a different ending. But again, it's very forgiving, this industry.
And like
really
Steve always says, so, go ahead.
It's really all about what you can do for the client right now. You know, last week's not so important, next month's not so important. It's really all about helping them solve a problem that they're having right now.
Like Steve always says, there's so many companies, like in B2B, there's 8.5 million in the US and Canada. You can easily mess up 10 this week and be fine.
Big deal.
Nobody talks. Like, it really doesn't matter.
No biggie.
As far as your question goes, Sandra, about forming a corporation, we can't give legal, financial, accounting advice, anything like that, just because everybody's situation is so different. So we will always advise you all to talk to your own accountant, lawyer, anything to get advice. That being said, we do have a program in our catalog called Freelance Writing Success, and it does cover the differences between an S Corp and an LLC. For the most part, you know, you don't need to worry about all that stuff right away, but again, everyone's situation is so different, we can't give that kind of advice.
I think we may have got them all.
130 questions, gang. High five. That's awesome. Both attendees and panelists. Really good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Going once.
Okay.
Going twice.
And I just want to remind everybody to join Clayton on Tuesday and Wednesday. It is going to be such a master class in how to write faster. It's going to help you in any type of writing that you do. I've had a peek at the slides, and it's really great.
Awesome. All right, everyone. We'll send out the recording probably Monday, so you'll get a recording of the slides and everything else that we talked about, links to everything. Other than that, get on out there and get started. Virtual high five, everyone.
Virtual high five.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear copywriters. You're all copywriters.
Bye, everyone. Bye.